Sinister stories.
Scary stories of a parent at school in the evening. Once upon a crisp autumn evening, David hurried through the rain-soaked streets toward Hillside Elementary School, where a scheduled parent-teacher meeting awaited him. The clock mocked his lateness, and anxiety clenched his stomach tighter with every step. His daughter's hopeful face, etched with anticipation for his promised attendance, haunted him. This was going to be the first time David has been to his daughter's school. Normally, his wife took care of all the academic intricacies. With a thud, he pushed open the heavy doors of the school, expecting to be greeted by a bustling atmosphere of fellow parents navigating the corridors. Instead, he stepped into an eerie silence that hung heavy in the dimly lit hallway. The usual buzz of parental chatter was absent. David wondered if he had entered through the wrong entrance. The though occurred if he even got the date right for the meeting. David then pushed on. "Hello?" David's voice echoed, swallowed by the emptiness around him. He glanced at his watch, cursing himself for losing track of time. The hallway seemed to stretch indefinitely, the fluorescent lights flickering ominously. Determined, David pressed on, heart pounding in his chest as he navigated the labyrinthine corridors. The air grew colder, a bone-chilling chill that seeped into his bones. Finally, he spotted a door marked with his daughter's classroom number. Relief washed over him as he pushed it open, hoping to salvage what remained of the meeting. Inside, a lone figure sat hunched over a desk, papers strewn in front of her. "Excuse me, I'm sorry I'm late," David spoke, his voice quivering slightly. The figure remained motionless, absorbed in her papers. As David edged closer, he strained to catch the teacher's murmurs, the teacher continuously repeating herself. The closer David approached, the louder the mumblings became. Soon the mumblings began becoming clearer and clearer until David could finally understand what she was saying. "She drives me crazy," the words repeated in a haunting whisper. David hesitated, unsure if he heard correctly. The teacher's mumbling grew louder and more frantic, each repetition more intense than the last. "She drives me crazy! She drives me crazy! She drives me crazy!" The teacher suddenly stood, her voice rising to a chilling scream. A glint of metal flashed from the desk, a knife. David stumbled backward, narrowly evading the teacher's frenzied swing. Heart pounding, David bolted out of the room, his footsteps echoing down the desolate corridors. Panic consumed him as he realized the absence of any sign of life. The hallways twisted and warped, their once familiar layout becoming a maze of darkness. Desperation drove David to find safety, but the school seemed determined to ensnare him. David discovered the principal's office. David figured this was his solitude. The principal's office offered a fleeting hope. As David approached the desk, he once again started to hear those mumbles again. As the chair turned slowly, it revealed the deranged teacher. David's blood turned cold. "She drives me crazy!" Her voice pierced the air, sending David fleeing once more. He ran until his lungs burned, until exhaustion gnawed at his limbs, yet the nightmarish school showed no sign of release. Hours turned into an endless night. David stumbled through the corridors, his hope waning with each futile attempt to escape. And there she was, the teacher, aimlessly wandering, her chant a haunting echo in the emptiness. "She drives me crazy, she drives me crazy, she drives me crazy." The screeching stung David's ears, so he hid around the corresponding corner. Desperate, David tried to backtrack, seeking an alternate route, but every turn led him closer to the deranged teacher, her manic gaze fixed on him. David's complexion turned pale as he stared in her eyes, as she stared through his soul. Once again, the chase continued. David just kept running and running, with no end in sight. The exit sign beckoned like a beacon of salvation. Racing toward it, David flung the door open, only to find himself stepping into his daughter's classroom. Confusion clouded his mind as the students and teacher turned to face him. "Daddy?" His daughter's innocent voice sliced through the tension. "Where have you been? Mommy was worried." David stared at the class with a state of confusion, unable to explain how he arrived there. David was frozen with despair. He just stood there in shock and awe. Finally, David was able to collect himself and apologize for the intrusion. He smiled towards his daughter and started to head for the door. The teacher's eyes bore into David, a twisted smile dancing on her lips. "I guess she drives you crazy sometimes," she remarked, a hint of madness lingering in her jest. David stopped and turned his head slowly with fear of last night events repeating themselves.